And good morning, Conestoga. I'm James Connors.
And I'm Mary Bridget Kane.
And welcome to Mainline Morning. Today we have a very special guest. We have the CEO and President of Vanguard, Bill McNabb, is with us today. Mr. McNabb, thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here, James and Mary Bridget.
So tell us a little bit about Vanguard.
Well, Vanguard's a mutual fund company, and we were formed in 1975 and began as a very small company with about 30 employees. Today, 35 years later, we're 12,000 employees, most of whom are here in Pennsylvania. And we manage about $1.3 trillion for 20 million different investors around the world.
Wow.
Wow, $1.3 trillion. Now, could you tell us a little bit more about what a mutual fund is?
Sure. So, if you think about a mutual fund, it's a convenient investment vehicle for lots of people to pool their money together to invest more efficiently. So let's just say the three of us want to invest in the U.S. stock market. There's over 5,000 stocks in the U.S. stock market. It would be hard for each of us to buy all the individual stocks. But by pooling our money together and giving it to a professional advisor, such as Vanguard, you can achieve that. So you can invest in Vanguard's total stock market portfolio and, in effect, own all 5,000 stocks in the U.S. stock market.
Huh. Wow. And so what's a typical day like for you?
One of the best things about my job is I don't have a typical day. There's lots of different things that we're doing, but I probably spend 25% of my time with our investment teams, talking about what's going on in the markets. I spend another 25% of my time with our various business units, people who take care of our clients. I probably spend another 25% of my time actually visiting clients. I travel a fair amount, both in the U.S. and maybe 2 or 3 times overseas. And then the other 25% is just kind of whatever, random stuff. It could be doing television shows. It could be, working on an article for a magazine or something like that.
Right. So now, where did you go to college to study?
Well, I went to Dartmouth College, and I studied government with a strong concentration also in English and economics.
Okay.
Wow.
And then did you go to graduate school after that?
I did. I actually taught school for a couple of years, and then went back to graduate school. I went to the University of Pennsylvania and got my MBA in finance.
Okay.
And so I have a lot of Philadelphia ties.
Right.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break and head over to Brian Cizik with sports.
Thank you, guys. It was a pretty big day in the world of sports yesterday. First of all, talk a little bit about the NFL. Monday Night Football, the Saints destroyed the Patriots yesterday, 38-17. Drew Brees threw for 371 yards and 5 touchdowns. So that was a bit of a surprise. I thought the Pats would put up a little bit more of a fight, but the Saints really beat them pretty good. Now, the Sixers also played last night. They played against the Mavericks, who are a pretty good team, and they lost 104-102, so they played them pretty well. But that does extend their losing streak to 7 games. Now, the big news with the Sixers is the possible signing of Allen Iverson, and he met with Coach Eddie Jordan, the GM Ed Stefanski, and Ed Snyder to talk about his possible return. And it looks like he could return in a Sixers uniform by next Monday night against his old team, the Denver Nuggets. So I'm really hoping that we can get that deal done. And the latest in the Tiger Woods saga, TMZ.com reports, now just because TMZ.com said this doesn't mean it's true. They are a gossip site, but they did report that the Florida Highway Patrol is trying to get a search warrant on Tiger Woods' medical records to see if his injuries are consistent with a car accident or domestic violence. Now, they do need probable cause to get this warrant. They think they can get it, according to TMZ. But a Florida Highway Patrol statesperson said that they have made no such statements regarding getting this warrant. So we'll see how that plays out. And Tiger Woods just kind of added to this whole mystery. He did pull out of his tournament that was supposed to be this weekend. And he still has not talked to the media directly. And in some other college football news, there were some notable firings yesterday. Charlie Weiss from Notre Dame has been fired after 5 seasons. And also, another notable news, Bobby Bowden, the legendary Florida State coach, has decided to retire. from football. He is second all-time in the wins list behind Joe Paterno. That's all for sports. Now back to James and Mary Bridget.
All right, thanks, Brian. And I know Mary Bridget's a big Notre Dame fan. You've got to be happy about that.
I am. I'm very happy. We got the email yesterday afternoon.
Oh, okay. All right, well, we're back here with Bill McNabb, the president and CEO of Vanguard. Now, Mr. McNabb, you took over being the CEO in March of 2008. You took over for John Brennan, and it was right in the middle of the economic meltdown. So what did you do to adapt to the situation?
Well, a lot of people have teased me a little bit that my timing is not terribly good in terms of that transition. But you know, one of the things that the crisis did for us was focus us on a couple of things. And we really tried to spend all our time thinking about how to communicate to our investors what was happening. So we used a lot of media, whether it was you know, webcasts or articles on our website, or actually doing some interviews with some of the you know, TV stations such as CNBC or Bloomberg TV and so forth. But all the while trying to get people focused on what was happening. We wanted to really prevent people from panicking and, in a sense, overreacting to what was a pretty difficult situation.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mm-hmm. And there was recently in Sunday's Inquirer an article about how well Vanguard has done despite the tough market. How have you been able to do so well?
Well, you know, it's interesting. You know, one of the things that we really pride ourselves on is focusing very much on the long term. Mm-hmm. And so by getting our investors to think a little bit more long term, it actually has helped us in the short run. And I know it sounds a little bit paradoxical, but it's, you know, if you can get people to think longer term, they don't overreact to short-term situations such as we've just gone through.
Mm-hmm. Right, because back in March, the stock market had days and days of just going down and down, but now the stock market's pretty much recovered. The Dow's above 10,000, and its numbers are looking pretty good.
Well, you know, it's actually interesting you mentioned that. The stock market hit its low, I think, March 9th,
yeah.
You know, for, you know, this period, and it's the fastest 50% move in the stock market since 1938.
Right.
So we've seen this incredible bounce. And you know, a lot of people who were getting out of stocks in March because they were so nervous have missed this 50% run-up.
Right.
And again, it just goes to the point that having a longer-term perspective really is very helpful.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And you know, interest rates are really low right now. What is a good investment for?
Yeah, you know, we get asked all the time, you know, which sector should I invest in, or what's a good investment? And you know, our broad advice to people is to be very diversified. We think most investors should own some stocks, some bonds, and some money market, you know, cash instruments, if you will. And getting that mix right is probably the most important investment decision somebody's going to make.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, one of the best investments that's been talked about right now is gold. It's at its highest prices in years. Do you think the investment of gold is just a market ripple and we shouldn't worry about it, or do you think it's actually sustainable?
Well, you know, there's a lot of factors that get into how gold's priced right now, but I'll give you one interesting stat. So in the last 10 years, if you were in a fund that invested in gold, you're up about 300%, so you've tripled your money. Mm-hmm. If you invested in U.S. stocks or international stocks, you've basically only broken even, so you haven't made much money.
Right.
And those discrepancies don't tend to last forever, so it's pretty tough to think that gold is going to triple again over the next 10 years.
Right.
So again, our perspective is be very balanced and diversified. Gold should probably never make up more than a very small percentage of your portfolio.
All right.
Well, let's head it over to Taylor with our entertainment news.
Hi, everybody. Andy's not here today, so I'm taking it over today. I'm going to touch a little bit on Tiger Woods. The news is, Brian already talked a little bit about this, but people on the major news stations are saying that they don't think that Tiger Woods is going to talk about this situation again. He can pay his fine for his ticket and be done with it, and they really don't think he is going to even make a public statement, and a lot of people say they don't think he should. Box office for the weekend, Twilight was #1, Blindside was #2, creeping up slowly. Blindside has increased sales as Twilight is still #1, but it's going down in the number of people, so we could see a role reversal there. 2012 is followed behind The Blindside at #3. Couples news, Jason Trawick and Britney Spears were rumored to be splitting up. They are not. They are still 100% together. They were seen in Australia with Brittany, her 2 sons, and Trawick for her circus tour. Reese Witherspoon and Jake Gyllenhaal, a source close to them, told People magazine that the couple had split, but that was denied by their reps. They haven't been seen together for 2 weeks when they were in Philadelphia last. Actually, Reese Witherspoon's filming a new movie here, and then when they were in Pittsburgh, Jake is filming his movie Love and Other Drugs. Antonio Sabato Jr. from the show My Antonio found love on his show in Hawaii, and him and Cheryl Mona Marie, who's a singer-songwriter, are now together. That's all for entertainment. Back to you, Mary Bridget and James.
All right. Thanks, Taylor. We're back with Mr. McNabb. Now, President Obama has indicated that the economy has recovered, and for the most part, he's been right. But the one thing that has not recovered yet is unemployment. Do you foresee unemployment recovering anytime soon?
The unemployment numbers, as you probably saw a couple weeks ago, came out at over 10% for the first time in 25 plus years. Our perspective, our economist perspective, is that it's probably going to still go up a little bit more between now and mid-2010, and then hopefully we'll see some sort of recovery in the jobs market. This recovery in general is likely to be slower and more anemic, if you will, than any we've seen in recent times.
Right.
So were you expecting those numbers on Friday?
Unfortunately, we were. We had been talking about the unemployment factor. One of the things I mentioned to you off camera is I have a 22-year-old who just graduated from college, and normally, by the time graduation comes around in June, 80+% of the students have jobs. This year, 80+% of the students did not have jobs coming out of school, which again, I think is an indication of how tough it is out there. Our expectation is somewhere, late 2010, that really begins to reverse itself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, President Obama released the stimulus package earlier this year. Do you think that it's been effective, and do you think we need another one?
The stimulus package is one of those very politically charged topics. Our view is the package has not done that much to stimulate the economy. Frankly, most of the benefit has been at the state and local government level. Whether or not a second package is necessary, I think, is still too soon to tell. I think if there is one, our hope would be it would focus more on job creation than on consumption.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Leah Shepard, our Mainline Morning alum, has our weather for today. Let's head over to her.
Thank you, James and Mary Bridget. I just wanted to say hello, Mainline Morning. I'm usually on Good Morning Stoga doing the weather, so if you want to know what's going on in Stoga News, check that out right here at 8:08. But let's get into weather. Right now, it's about 38 degrees with sunny skies. Later, though, it's going to go up to 50 degrees with some winds, but it's still going to be sunny, so it's going to be a nice day today. And for the 5-day, it's going to go up to the 50s and into the 60s Wednesday and Thursday. We are going to see AM showers, though, on Thursday. Friday is going to be a high of 46 degrees, mostly sunny skies. And for the weekend, we do have possible snow showers. I don't know if that's such a good thing yet. It's only December 1st, but we're definitely getting into the holiday season. It's going to be chilly. And then on Sunday, back up to 45 degrees with partly cloudy skies. Now let's head back to Mary Bridget and James.
Thanks, Leah.
All right, thanks, Leah. And we're back with Mr. McNabb. Now, Mr. McNabb, the United States is now a whopping $12 trillion in debt. And that number is clearly unsustainable. What do you think the best way to reduce the debt long term for this country is?
Well, I think there's two factors in reducing the debt. One, spending and intake, if you will, have to be more balanced. So, we need to spend less than we're spending right now. And then secondly, in the long run, the real key to reducing deficit is to have really strong economic growth.
Right.
If the economy grows at a faster than average rate, for example, your tax receipts will be such that you would reduce the deficit pretty quickly. So getting really strong economic growth is going to be a high priority.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And for unemployment still, do you think that this Friday the numbers will hit 11%?
No, it's hard to predict what goes into these statistics. I would expect the numbers to be maybe the same or just slightly worse, but I don't think we'll see 11.
Now, a couple of stocks that I've recently purchased in the market have been Ford and GE. They've both been pretty well performing. What do you think the future is, especially for GE? They're such a broad company. They do so many things. What do you think the future is for GE?
Well, you're probably way more astute at individual stocks than I am, James. I always think about broad markets, individual companies. GE is obviously a company that's a leading company in many different industries, and its stock price had been beaten down quite a bit. So that's why a lot of investors obviously were attracted to it. But from my perspective, I'd much rather own a slice of the broad market, the whole U.S. stock market or the whole world market, for that matter.
Right. Okay.
And you get to see how the whole economy works from your position. Do you think that as a result of the economic downturn last year, that there should be more government regulation, especially with mortgages?
One of the questions on regulation is, more or less, and I actually think the real answer to that is there needs to be better regulation.
Right.
And we could debate whether that means more or less, but I think there are a lot of really good rules on the books, and frankly, they weren't applied. And you saw you saw activities going on that in hindsight really should have been caught by the regulators. And one of the things we'd like to see is a strengthening of the existing regulatory bodies so that these kind of problems can be avoided.
Right. Now, in the long term, do you think that we should be raising taxes as a country or trying to reduce taxes and keep money in customers' pockets?
Wow, James, you're coming up with all the tough questions here. You get me in trouble with the administration. Again, my perspective on taxes in general is that lower taxes are a good thing for the economy. I think high taxes lead to more government spending. I think governments don't spend money as efficiently as individuals and corporations.
Right. Let's see, are we about out of time here on Mainline Morning?
Well, we have a parting gift for you.
Oh, yeah, we got to get this. Our usual traditional TETV mug. This is for you, Mr. McNabb.
Well, thank you very much, James. I'm a big coffee drinker, so I will use this mug proudly.
Now, do you have any final thoughts on the economy?
No, I just want to thank you guys for a very thoughtful set of questions and a terrific job.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome.
All righty. Well, that does it for Mainline Morning. I'm James Connors.
I'm Mary Bridget Kane.
Have a nice day.